What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be doing an honest review of the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War beta. Now, as you can see, this is going to be a long video. Stay tuned to the end, even minimize the video and just play it in the background and listen to what I've got to say if you're interested, because I really like this game and I want it to succeed, and this is going to be my honest thoughts, opinions, and also my feedback on how I personally think they can improve the game in general. So let's jump right into it. Without further ado, we're going to start off with the things that I like about this game. The playstyle and the core gameplay of this game are fantastic. It's much faster paced than Modern Warfare. The core gameplay is much improved from the alpha as well, in the way that a lot of the mechanics have been nerfed, that we're cheesing people. And, you know, it's not at a perfect level yet, but it's definitely going in the right direction, which is awesome. I think that the weapon variety is pretty good in this game, and I think that a lot of the mechanics, the way the guns look has been improved, the way the guns feel has been improved, and like I said, the core gameplay is a lot better than it was in the alpha. And personally, it feels like a Black Ops game. I really like the look and feel of this game in the regards to the colour palette, the way that it looks, the way that the colours are a bit more vibrant, and there's a lot of other things. I really like that. But in another way, there's some other things that I don't like, which I'll get into in further on in the video. We finally got an FOV slider on console. This is something I've been asking for a long time. Now, honestly, FOV slider, amazing. The one thing is there was a few downsides to it, which I'll cover later on in the video, but finally having an FOV slider for the next generation of consoles coming with higher performance, and obviously the gaming PCs being how powerful they are, and being able to run the beta next weekend on the gaming PCs because of the PC open beta and everything like that. I'm looking forward to downloading it, get my hands on it, and see how it runs on PC with a higher FOV. The custom interface options. Wow. There is so many options you can turn off and on. And it makes it so you can customize the game to be how you want it to be. Being able to turn off friendly player names, or being able to turn off the actual full names of players and stuff like that is awesome. I really like the fact that you can turn off the player names of friendlies. I didn't end up doing it in the beta, but I might try it next week, because I think that might help me not be able to, you know, pick up on what's an enemy, what is a friendly or whatever, because some of the characters look fairly similar, which is another downside, but I'll be talking about that later on. But being able to change the way the map looks, being able to change the fact that you don't even need the compass anymore, you can just turn it off straight up. I love that. I actually love the fact you can just turn the compass off, because you don't need it. If you're not calling out to, oh, there's such a person at Northwest 200 once you're in this location, then you're not going to really need it. So to me, being able to turn that off is awesome. It makes it look cleaner. I didn't end up turning it off. I left all the settings default just to see how it can run and everything like that. But honestly, that is awesome. Being able to turn all that stuff off and customize it all, big thumbs up from me, Treyarch. That is something awesome. And again, FOV slider, custom interfaces, two things I never really thought that I would want in a lot of ways. FOV slider, obviously I wanted that, but the custom interface options they added just add another level of customization I didn't know we needed in Call of Duty, and it's great to have it. I hope future games take the same path. The gunsmith is back, but improved. The stats are so much more detailed, to the point where you can see the exact milliseconds it takes for your gun to aim down sight. And that is awesome. Being able to see all those stats is incredible, because it means that you can tailor your gun to be the most accurate, the fastest, or whatever, and you don't have to just rely on the little bars to tell you what information is going to be there. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I've got to work out exactly what this is going to do, how much it's going to take off, and do all the maths to actually get the answers. It's all they're done for you in the game. As long as those values are accurate, awesome. meaning that you can go in and customize a class to the exact fastest weapon or the exact most accurate class that you want. Or it could be the most long-range weapon that you want. It allows you to customize the class exactly how you want it. And that is a massive step up from Modern Warfare. Because in Modern Warfare, yeah, you could customize it to be what looked like the fastest. But then there was all sorts of nerfs and different changes that were made in the back end that they didn't actually tell us about. Which meant that a lot of the stats were off anyway. Because a gun might have an attachment that said improve your aim down sight speed, and then people found out in stealth nerfs and stuff like that, and patch notes, that actually it doesn't. It does the opposite. So I'm hoping in Black Ops Cold War that those stats are going to be exact with the stats that are actually there, and when you put the attachments on, it does have an effect, and it has the right effect that it says in those statistics. Graphic improvements from the alpha, massive step up, dude. It looks so much better, and the fact you can have an FOV slider now to make it wider so it looks even better again, I really like that. Now, audio improvements, another thing. Guns actually sound more like guns now. Instead of it sounding like a pea shooter when it's got a suppressor on it, it actually sounds like a gun with a suppressor on it. You know, they toned up the bass a little bit, they toned up some of the settings, and made the audio experience way better. You can actually hear footsteps and stuff now. I can give them credit where credit is due, and they've done a great job with that. Maybe they've turned it up a little bit too much for some people, but there is different audio mixes, and I'm sure when it comes to the full game releases, there's going to be more than 3 audio settings. Currently I've been running high boost, I did try ultra bass or whatever it is, and I also tried the Treyarch mix, and for me the high boost was probably the best one. It allowed me to hear footsteps a little bit better, but do bear it in mind that I have got an Astro A40 Ti headset with noise cancelling and all the rest of it built in, and I had it turned right up so I could really hear the audio, and the audio sounds amazing to me, but you might have a different experience, because I had a pair of headphones plugged in some of the games that you will see in the future, and yeah, a pair of normal headphones just didn't sound anywhere near as good. So yeah, let's move on to the things that I'm in between. Players are easier to see in Modern Warfare, or see than in Modern Warfare, so that it's easier to see people in this game than it is in Modern Warfare on some maps. Now, Miami, a little bit, I had a few issues here and there with Miami, with it being such a dark map. I actually ended up turning my brightness up to like 65 or something like that to fix that. It made it much easier for me to see them. Instead of having the default setting where the logo was barely visible, I had it basically where I could see all 3 logos, and it felt a lot better to me. Maybe a bit bright for some people, but honestly, for me, that's the setting I defaulted to. It ended up just being a lot better for me. It's hard to see what team players are on, which is why I mentioned about being able to turn off the enemy name tags and stuff, or the friendly name tags and stuff, because if you see no name tag, you just know not to shoot at people. If you see a name tag, you know to shoot them if you do turn that off. So that's something I might try in the beta next week. But honestly, it's really hard to see people in general on, definitely on some of the maps. Like Cartel, if they were in the bush, good fucking luck. Like, it was incredibly hard to see people on that map. And whether they were running, or whether they were crouch walking, or whether they were prone in the bush, it was still very, very hard to see people. Like, there was a guy way in between the bushes, and I just ran straight past him. I had no idea he was there. So, yeah, that definitely needs tweaking, and people need to stand out a little bit more, for sure. In the beta, lobbies were being broken up every single game. Almost every single game. And it's frustrating because in the alpha, this didn't happen. You got a good connection in a lobby, you stayed in it, you played through, and it was awesome. In this, every time a game ended, it would boot you out the lobby, and you would search for a new one, which was especially frustrating. When you were in a lobby, you joined a lobby, I just gone on, joined a lobby, and guess what happened? I basically ended up where the lobby ended. I joined the game, I got 1 kill, the lobby ended. It kicked me out and put me in another lobby where the lobby ended. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I just went through like 3-4 games where I got into each lobby partway through the game and didn't manage to get a full game in like 4 or 5 games because it just kept putting me in new lobbies every single time. I'd have preferred to just stay in that same lobby and play a full game. But no, it kept kicking me out. Now, I don't know why that is a thing. It could be skill-based matchmaking, which I'll mention later on. But honestly, for me personally, that is one of the most frustrating things. Because I hate having to, like, basically, if you get into a lobby and you're having fun with people, you're really challenging them, and you know, you've got that one guy on the enemy team that's really good, and you're like trying to beat the best player out. That's a lot of fun. Having that competition is amazing. That's part of what makes Call of Duty fun. But if you don't have a couple of games against those people, you're never really going to learn exactly how they play to be able to beat them. Yes, you can obviously have a full game against them, depending on how long that game is, but you're only going to have so many gunfights against that person, meaning that you're not always going to get the upper hand. You're not always going to be like, right, I know this guy down to a T and I can really kick his ass now. That's part of the fun in Call of Duty for me, and obviously this game has taken that away a little bit. Locked out of attachments, weapons and wildcards, simply because the level cap wasn't high enough. In the beta, before the level cap got increased to 25, we had access to 1 wildcard, which was danger close, meaning that everyone was throwing double nades everywhere. And we didn't have Black Jacket, which meant you would get killed by them all the time. Not to mention that some of the other things like Tactical Mask weren't unlocked until that level cap went up, meaning that before that you were just getting stunned all the time. Not to mention that stuns are very, very strong, which I'll talk about later on. But honestly, the fact that you weren't able to level up to a point of having those more crutch perks was very annoying for me, because Scavenger, yeah, it's a good perk, but you don't really need it, especially in a beta when you're not expecting to go on big streaks. Although, I did go on some big streaks. I think my highest was 19, but like, I kept getting killed off kill streaks. So I get up to like 9 or 10, up to 15, and then just die or whatever. So, it was a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Some of the way weapons look really got my back up a little bit. The M16, for example, with the red dot sight on, instead of taking off the grip on top, they just stuck the red dot on top of it, and it looks so weird. I just didn't like the look of it. To me, it would have been better off to just take the handle off and put that red dot right on the, you know, the top of the gun, rather than having that handle with the red dot on top of it, which really did seem weird. But honestly, maybe custom variants or whatever will fix that. Maybe custom weapons will fix that, you know, when we get air variants and the blueprints and all that sort of stuff. Maybe there will be some that I can use that are, you know, the way I would like it to be. But honestly, the weapon sights in this game aren't that great. I don't see an ELO sight anywhere. I don't see a general red dot that's like the normal red dots. They all look a bit strange to me, and some of the iron sights on some of the weapons do require you to really use a red dot, which is a shame, because some of the iron sights are really hard to use. The Krig 6, I think it is, for example, I really don't like those iron sights. But, you know, the Black Ops 1 Galil, which it seems to be based off, has really nice iron sights. So I don't know what happened there, but it is what it is. Grenades are very strong, and you end up with lots of deaths to random nades. And like I said, Tactical Mask or Flak Jacket weren't unlocked, so you couldn't really do anything about it. That's obviously an in-between one for me. The maps that we played in the beta, which were Cartel, Moscow, Armada, Crossroads, and I can't remember what the other ones were, but yeah, Miami. I really didn't like the fact that the maps seemed to be designed for 12v12 or ground war. rather than 6v6. I think if it had been 9v9 Ground War, 10v10, 12v12, I think those maps would have played much better. Because I felt like the maps were slightly too big for the number of players. In 12v12 in the Combined Items playlist, I felt like those maps, apart from Crossroads, were pretty good. Crossroads just seems far too big. Especially playing VIPS got 6v6 on that map. It's like, who can get on a jet ski and or snowmobile and basically race to the middle of the map quickest to be able to get in position to be able to take people out. That's basically how that game mode went on Crossroads. I didn't really have fun with VIP Escort, I'll be honest. It was not the best game mode. I guarantee some people will enjoy it, and I had some really good games on there. But honestly, it was quite annoying. Game filters were disabled in the beta, so we had 3 game modes. We had, or 4, no 6. We had VIP Escort, we had Combined Arms Domination, Combined Arms Assault, which is War from World at War, which is amazing. That game mode plays way better than the other Combined Arms. And then we had TDM, Kill Confirm, and Domination. For me personally, I would have preferred to see Hardpoint, TDM, and Domination rather than Kill Confirmed, because Kill Confirmed is essentially TDM and you just run around and collect tags, which is, you know, it means that there's not as much variety in the modes, and it really started to get stale when all I seemed to be playing at one point was TDM and Kill Confirmed, game after game after game. And that's another thing with the lobbies breaking up. I could see that the next lobby was being voted for and it was Domination, so they were playing Kill Confirmed again. I don't know what that was about, but yeah. Moving on to our dislikes, and boy is this a long video. The time to kill is a little bit too fast. You die in a few bullets, especially with the new connection situation at the moment. It feels like you die instantly, and you die around corners. The connections really aren't that great. The hit detection seems off, the netcode seems off. Compared to the alpha felt way better for shooting people and actually getting the kills and, you know, being able to do better. I felt like I was more consistent on the alpha than I was, you know, in the beta, which is unfortunate. Another thing that I didn't like is that the snipers are basically one shot or two shot. They're basically two shot if you hit anywhere but the center upwards of the chest. If you hit them like sort of belly button area, hit marker. You hit them in the shoulder, hit marker. Hit them anywhere below like the Cabrini logo on my top and it was a hit marker. I even hit marker people in like the collarbone, like right here sort of thing. And it's so frustrating when that happens because all I want to do is just, you know, snipe and have fun. Now, bear in mind, before anyone freaks out, the snipers are incredibly fast. Take away some of that ADS time, make it 400 milliseconds, whatever, just make the sniper slightly more powerful so you get more consistent one-shot kills. It was so frustrating hitting someone in the upper chest and hitting like 98 out of 100 health, or 150, or 100 and, for example, 148 health out of 150 or something like that. It was so frustrating to get those hit markers and see that if I'd have been able to just hit him slightly higher, I'd have killed him. And yes, you can say aim higher, but to me, that Pellington is a hit marker machine, and there was multiple connections or multiple issues where I was hitting person after person, getting like 4 or 5 shots off, hitting some people 2 or 3 times and not getting a kill. And I'm like, what is going on? Like a hit marker, hit marker, hit marker, hit marker. I'm like, are you kidding me? I hit him like upper chest, maybe shooting him in the side because they've turned. But like, usually that would be a one-shot kill in most Call of Duty games, and in this, bloody hit markers. It was like using the DS-50 or the RSA from Black Ops 3. It was awful. Moving on. Laggy frame rate issues caused so many inconsistencies in the game. It basically meant that when you were doing these when you were running around, you could literally be shooting someone and them just teleport at the map. Like, it just felt like people were skipping past you. Or you'd see them slide and suddenly they just vanish. And you're like, where the fuck has he gone? You just... Huh? You know what I mean? Like, you're just looking round for this guy that's just vanished. And then suddenly you die because you got shot around the corner. The amount of times I got cameraed, as in, I back behind cover and die somehow because his bullets only connected, you know, as I moved. I moved and the bullets haven't connected to me, but then suddenly they did. And the game's playing catch up, or the server's playing catch up to where them bullets are and where I am, and I suddenly just die and teleport back to where I was. There were so many weird instances in this game with inconsistent player movement, with the sliding, which definitely needs tuning again because the third person feels so weird. You know, feeling like you're behind cover, getting killed regardless of whether you're behind cover or not, getting stuttering and freezing in the animations and stuff like that. Some of the deaths I had, like, people were literally like, and it's just like, what's going on with that? Suddenly, all of a sudden, randomly, they just be dropping frames out of nowhere. And it's so frustrating when that happens because you're like, oh, I'm having a great gunfight here, I'm gonna get this guy, and then suddenly out of nowhere he teleports left somewhere and you're like, where's he gone? And then you die. It's like, oh, okay then. The guy wasn't even on my screen and he's killed me, which is so frustrating, man. Score streak system definitely needs a rework. I'll be honest. I personally prefer the original score streak system from Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3 and 4. I don't understand why they changed this. I really don't. Personally, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I know that they want to, you know, be at the top of the game and make changes and look, we've innovated with this stuff, but score streak's not resetting on death. And then taking like 5,000 score to win an attack chopper that gets like 1 kill is awful. And they need to buff those score streaks. Definitely need to buff the score streaks. Not to mention that I personally think that this really needs sorting because score streaks do not feel rewarding anymore when you get them. They literally just feel terrible. You get it and you're like, oh, it's like, oh, I've got a helicopter now. You basically bring it in and nothing else happens. It's so frustrating. 1 second while I just get rid of fucking Discord because people are trying to message me now. And in all honesty, the score streak system to me was never broken. It never needed any changes, apart from a few tweaks in certain game modes because you were earning so much score that you would just roll through kill streaks. I just didn't feel like it needed changing too much. It just needed little tweaks here and there. And I do think this score streak system will work, and I don't think it's going to be like the worst thing they've ever done. But personally, it killed the vibe of, oh, let's go and get that chopper gunner. Oh, let's go and get that attack chopper. Let's go and get those high tier kill streaks. It's like, well, I'll just put them on anyway and I'll earn them eventually. It didn't feel rewarding. It was basically like a specialist streak or a field upgrade over time in the game. That's what it felt like to me, is earning score streaks has become earning a field upgrade. There was no reward to it, there was no, oh my god, I finally got it, apart from the attack chopper, which then did fuck all when you called it in, because it was shit. So, either way, streaks definitely need a rework in the way that they're earned, and in the amount of power that some of those score streaks have. Servers need to be 60 Hz or more across the board in every game mode. There's rumours of 10 Hz or 20 Hz in the big ground war maps, and that should not be the case. It's no wonder the game felt like crap in certain game modes, with the servers being so low. It means that the servers are always trying to play catch up with the actual game, which means that it's very inconsistent and very, you know, skipping all over the place and really trying to keep up with the connections of the players in the game or what the bullets are doing and everything like that. And if the game's playing at 60 FPS, you need at least 60 Hz servers. It's like having a 20Hz monitor but playing at 200 FPS, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference how high your FPS can go. Leveling up weapons in beta took a hell of a long time, and you felt locked out of some attachments because you had to basically grind out for the entire beta to get those higher tier weapon attachments. It just felt so long of a grind that it would take all day to unlock all of the attachments you needed for the beta. And I literally played the beta for like 3 days straight. I'm not even kidding. I barely slept. I probably slept 4 or 5 hours every night, but I played for like 3-4 days straight. And I really enjoyed it, but there was a lot of frustrations in there as well. Sliding is way too fast and jarring. I've mentioned this already. It felt like people were teleporting or just sliding across the screen and vanishing. It was very buggy and felt very cheesy at times. And obviously they know about this. They are going to work on it. I look forward to seeing what changes they come up with for next weekend. The grenade speed definitely needs improving. You pick up a grenade that's been thrown at you, so a grenade comes in and you pick it up and go to throw it, there's no fucking point, you're dead. Because by the time you launch that grenade, it's already exploded. And that's when someone has literally just thrown the grenade without even cooking the thing. It took so long to throw the grenade that if you cooked it for too long and you threw the grenade, you would die by your own grenade. And that happened multiple times to me. I'm like, right, okay, I'm getting nearer the flag, I'll throw it, oh, I'm dead. You know what I mean? It's just so frustrating when that sort of thing happens. Another thing is that the vehicle mechanics and movement, the way that you control the vehicles, was awful. I don't understand why they changed the control system from what Modern Warfare had, which was much easier to pick up and much easier to use. For me, the Modern Warfare vehicle control system is one of the best we've had. It should definitely go back to that, and we should definitely have the option to use that in Black Ops Cold War. In my opinion, I think that's a much better way of doing things, but that's just my opinion. I'll be honest, like, it was really frustrating trying to get used to the new mechanics that I just didn't bother getting in vehicles. I just gave up because I couldn't get my head around it. When enemies are using an artillery strike, we don't get notified of where it's going to come in, you just die if it lands on you. And that is frustrating because usually there'd be a timer, usually there'd be a warning. Say someone calls in a lightning strike in Black Ops 2, you would see that, right, this is where it's been placed. If you were close to this, make a move to get away from it or you will die. In this game, artillery strike in oh, I'm dead. That's basically what it felt like because you didn't know where it was going to come from. You just heard the artillery come in, you didn't know where it was going to land, and then you just died. Well, if I'd have had the option and I'd have seen where that mortar strike or whatever has been pinned, then I'd have had the option to be able to try and make a move to get away from it. I'll be honest, that was really, really frustrating for me. Combined arms, domination. The spawns, why are you spawning me back at the C flag or the base? Why can't I spawn on my teammate? Why can't I spawn on a flag that we control like you can in Ground War, in Modern Warfare? For me, it feels like a bit of a step back. Because you just spawn in and then you're running for like 20 seconds. Not to mention that there's guys going round to the spawns in boats and just camping the spawns with the boat. Why are they able to get that close to our spawn, for one? And two, why is the miniguns and turrets in the spawn? Meaning that some of the newbie players, some of the players that don't really know what they're doing, are just going to go to that turret and sit there. And just hope to see someone eventually. Which means that the whole point of combined arms domination goes out the window. Because they're not capping flags, they're not running into the areas where the flags are because they're back at the base. It just defeats the whole object of the game mode. Combined arms assault, however, had much better spawn logic because it spawned you near or nearer where those flags were going to be that you needed to capture. Meaning that as you gain momentum and push forward into the enemy's spawn, your spawns also pushed up with that momentum. I don't understand why you can't implement that system into Combined M's domination, because it would work the same. Just spawn people near the flags that they control. It would make much more sense, and it would make defending flags easier, it would make capturing the next flag up easier, and it would make it for more competition around those flags, especially when Combined Arms is only 12v12. For me personally, especially on the snow map, Crossroads, it could be like 24 vs 24, or 30 vs 30, or 50 v 50 on that map. That map is huge. Not to mention that certain areas of that map have zero cover whatsoever. Which means that if you're a sniper, it's kind of heaven, and if you're not, it's kind of a death threat, or kind of a instantaneous death if you go to run across that field. Moving on to a final thing of this video, and I told you guys it was going to be a long one: skill-based matchmaking. Now, for me personally, skill-based matchmaking was definitely there. It felt like it was there, but I didn't really read too much into it. Now, being kicked out of every lobby, when every lobby is broken up, and then you have an experience of going 41-8 in one game, and then the next game you go in 10-14 because you are really struggling to get a kill, and your KD average is like this over 10 games, it gets a little bit like, right, okay, I see what's happening here. Every time I do well, I get punished. And then it puts me in games that matches me with higher skilled players that have just had a game like that. And then what happens is you end up playing against these sweats that really try hard, and you're playing like MLG tournament level, even though it's a pub, and it frustrates the crap out of people. The one thing a lot of people are missing the point of is that we want variety. We don't want to pub stomp every game. We do not want it to be easy, dropping 50-60 kills every single game. Because what would that happen? It would get boring as fuck, and the players getting dumped on would just leave the game and not come back. What we want is variety. We want to play the best of the best, but we also want to play the worst of the worst. And we want to play everything in between. For me personally, having the challenge of having someone that's really good in the lobby, but then also having people that aren't so good in the lobby, so the lobby is varied, so you have that thing of, oh, am I going to be able to kill this guy or not? Or, how am I going to take this next gunfight that might be against this better player that gives me an advantage? It makes you think more, it improves what you're thinking about, it improves your mindset on what the game is going to be and what your next move is. Because if you know that there's someone in your game that is playing really well, and he has that opportunity to take you out, more than likely, he's going to try to jump shot, or he's going to try really hard to kill you if he knows you're on a streak. And for me, that's part of what Call of Duty makes Call of Duty great. Because you have those better players, those top tier players, to really challenge you at times. You have the option of going into TDM and having a lot of fun, because you can run into people that are trying to drop 70 kills in TDM 100. Or you get the complete opposite side of the spectrum, where you get a lot of noobs that don't really know what they're doing. But I don't want to be playing either of those extremes all the time. And nor do I want to be playing people that are my level all the time. Because what happens if you are playing people your level all the time is that skill gap gets closer and closer and closer. And the skill gap shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. Because every player starts playing to the best of their ability. Every player starts to use the best weapons in the game because they do not want to lose a gunfight. They want to be at the top tier advantage that they can have to gain an advantage over the other players in that lobby, to be able to try and move up that pecking order and hopefully get some easier or better games where they can enjoy themselves a little bit more. Truth is, what happens is that skill gap keeps closing down, and then what happens is people that want to go for the Damascus, solar camo, or Chrome camos, the Mastery camos, where you have to get every single gun gold, end up basically just dropping down the pecking order like crazy, because what happens is their KDs get drummed into the floor, trying to use launchers, trying to take streaks out, trying to use a shotgun that maybe isn't that great, trying to use a combat knife against MP5s and AK-74Us doesn't really work out that well. And this happened in Modern Warfare. It's like trying to use a knife against an MP5 regardless of what weapon you were using. You could use an FM FAL at the start, you could use a Ground, you could use, you know, any other weapon, but you always felt like you were outmatched. And that is the big problem, because it makes all the challenges exponentially more difficult, to the point where people start to give up on those challenges. And that is a big problem with Call of Duty at the moment, with the way that this matchmaking system seems to be implemented. Perfect solution for me is turn it down, turn it to the point where, yes, we get a variety of games where we're doing well, where we're doing bad, where the connection is the most important thing. I do not want to be playing on 120 ping or something ridiculous. I want to be playing on 20 to 30, maybe even higher, if possible. And the problem is, I don't want to be playing in games where I'm lagging constantly all the time and having to use the best weapons in the game to give myself an advantage enough so I can do okay in a game and barely go positive. I don't want to have to be trying my absolute ass off every single game and having to use the best equipment, the best headsets, the best controllers, the best peripherals, and cranking up the FOV and trying my absolute nuts off game in, game out to even, you know, have a decent time in the game, because that becomes boring, it becomes repetitive, and it becomes unenjoyable in the end, and it's gonna turn a lot of players away from the game. What's gonna happen to the noobs? They're gonna have the same experience, because they're gonna get to a certain level where they're gonna start running into better players, and then they're going to get to that better player's level, and then it's going to keep going like that, and it's going to get harder and harder and harder for those newer players to adapt. This is why this skill-based matchmaking system is going to end up killing Call of Duty if it carries on, because it's going to force players away from the game, rather than keeping people in the game for the reasons they came to Call of Duty in the first place. Call of Duty has always been a casual, fun, arcade-style multiplayer shooter. Whether that's zombies, whether that's multiplayer, or whether that's even Warzone. If you start cranking that skill-based matchmaking up and making sure that every single player in that lobby from a 20-mile radius or whatever is at that exact same KD, or within margin 0.10 of a KD error, then people are going to get to the point where they get burnt out on the game because they're sick of playing the same people over and over and over again. And that is something I've noticed in Modern Warfare. I'll play 20 games, and I can almost guarantee that within those 20 games, even if I left every single lobby after the fact, which it does automatically, I will end up playing the same people multiple times. And that, to me, is really frustrating when I know for a fact in the UK alone there's probably millions of Call of Duty players, let alone the rest of the world. So yeah, hope you guys have really enjoyed this really in-depth look into Call of Duty's Cold War multiplayer beta weekend 1. And if you did, don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.